And Jewel, test tomorrow. We're going to do the review. I'll send this to you. 21 points, 21 terms, matching, and I'm not going to show it to you. But, all right, so here you go.
Whoopi Goldberg is not on a good course.
Yeah, you know, I don't hate Whoopi.
She just needs to be careful with what she says.
Yeah.
How she says it.
Yeah. Yeah, she's done some really good stuff.
Like when she said like the thing about the Holocaust, I don't think she did anything bad against it. I just think she didn't use the right words.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, yeah, trying to bring race into this, and some people are just, they see race in everything. You know what I mean? And they get consumed by it. And I don't know if that's healthy. You know what I mean?
There's not really a place for it when you talk about it as an atrocity.
Right. Okay. Y'all ready?
Good.
All right, we'll fill out this review sheet. Strict liability. Okay. Let me define that for you. A type of liability that holds the defendant liable. Liability that holds the defendant liable for engaging in activity that resulted in injury. Holds the defendant liable for engaging in an activity that resulted in an injury. So remember when we did that little one on, it was not the bungee thing, but where the slingshot, that didn't strap the guy in the harness right, and he went sailing across the Atlantic Ocean. Yeah. Strict liability, caused injury. Okay. So, real quick, one more time. Holds the defendant liable for engaging in activity that resulted in an injury. Strict liability. Assumption of risk. Okay, this is a type of negligence. Type of negligence defense. Type of negligence defense. Where the plaintiff knows the danger. The plaintiff, 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 knows of the danger. Now, if you're going to get in a slingshot, are you aware of the risks? Are you aware of the risks that you might be flung across the Atlantic? Yes, but you also know that you should be able to do that safely if they do their jobs properly. Yes? Okay. This is why lawyers are so important, right? Because anytime you buy something, or you buy a bike, they put a warning label on it. You buy cigarettes, they put a warning label on it. You should know the risk of smoking, right? That it causes cancer. But maybe you don't know that. So you gotta write it on it. So you don't get sued for causing lung cancer. Right? They do the same thing with guns when you buy a gun. New. Buy a used gun, probably not going to get all that. It's not written on the gun. But you should assume people know the risk. Yes? I assume. Okay. Conversion. We talked about this the other day, right? Conversion means when you are a tort that involves theft, or destruction of another person's property. Conversion. So when you steal something, the act is called conversion, taking it from somebody else. Tort that involves theft, destruction of another person's property. Conversion is the legal term. Okay. The next one is contributory, and then it's contributory negligence. Contributory negligence. Okay. Type of negligence where the plaintiff, Plaintiff, type of negligence where the plaintiff partially caused the injury. The plaintiff partially caused the injury. Remember the story about the woman that was backing out of her driveway in a station wagon, and the other woman was drunk, driving fast through the neighborhood. She pulled out. She backed out of her driveway. She didn't look both ways. She contributed to that negligence. Yes? It's contributory. Okay. Defamation, which is what you just brought up, Mason. To define this, false statements that injure another's reputation. False statements that injures another reputation. And what Whoopi Goldberg said about Kyle Rittenhouse was she called him a murderer before the trial, and then even after the trial, where he was found not guilty, was self-defense. Self-defense is not murder. She's defaming his character on national television. He's a private citizen. Okay? Now, if you wanted to say that about Joe Biden, could Joe Biden sue for defamation? No. Because he's a public figure.
When Biden's out of office and he's like presumably not in politics anymore, okay, I mean, is he no longer a public figure, or did he retain it since he was president?
You ever hear people talk about Hillary? Like that one dude that was like, you know, the whole thing with child sex trafficking, what's it, Epstein? Epstein. And then the one woman that helped him, Maxwell, she's in jail. And then this other dude just died, like 2 days ago. Like he was found dead. People were like, where's Hillary? Hillary probably had something to do with it. Okay. You know what I mean? Like, so you're a public person. Can't sue for that. All right. Slander is act. Let me define that for you. Slander is lies that are spoken. Lies that are spoken about another person. So similar to defamation. So slander can lead to defamation. Character. Okay. Trespass to land. Trespass to land. A tort in which property is entered without the owner's consent. That's pretty simple. A tort in which property is entered without the owner's consent. You guys remember when we talked about that? Okay. Fraud. Crime of intentionally misrepresenting, an existing fact. Crime of intentionally misrepresenting an existing fact is fraud. One of the biggest areas we see that today, guys, is when you get phone calls. I heard this on the radio this morning. There are people posing as representatives of Medicare and Medicaid with the government, saying that, calling old people and saying, you can buy this equipment like wheelchairs, different things, and get reimbursed by Medicare. Just give us your information. Okay, they are not allowed to do that. They don't call you. Okay, most government agencies are going to send you something in the mail. Okay, the IRS doesn't call you. The Internal Revenue Service that does tax, they don't call you. They will send you a letter. You understand? Like when you got jury duty, they didn't call you. They sent you a letter in the mail. Okay, so when you get phone calls, guys, be careful. I've had this happen to me, like, it almost fell for. Like, I got a phone call about a guy saying there was a warrant for my arrest. He's calling from the Wichita City Jail, and that I needed to come and pay this fine to do away with this warrant. Like, well, what's fine? And, you know, he says, had to do with the traffic citation last year that wasn't taken care of. And I'm thinking back, like, I'm like, this isn't. They would send you, or if you had a warrant, they'd come knock on your door. You know what I mean? So the government doesn't call you. Got that? If they're calling your grandma, and she says, well, they called from here and they need money or they need this information, say, hang up, grandma. Okay, you with me? Guys, they prey on these people, like very forcefully. It's awful what human beings do to other human beings. Okay, sorry. Assault. Now you remember this. We talked the difference between assault and battery, right? So assault is a tort where a threat to harm or offend is made. A threat to harm or offend is made. Now, guys, your feelings, right? Your feelings are not protected by the Constitution. So when this says offend, it's not like offending your feelings. You guys know what sexual harassment is, right? So people in power using that power to try and get sexual advancement out. Okay? It's against the law. Okay? And you can sue that individual. Okay? That would be like an offense. That's kind of what that's alluding to. Okay? To offend, harm or offend. So guys, when you see tort, what's the difference between tort? One said a crime. One said a tort, one said a crime. Several said tort. Tort generally is what? Civil. Between people. Suing. Okay? Crime is the government. Big brother. Okay? All right. What do we just do? Assault? Okay, this next one is comparative negligence. So you had contributory negligence, now you have comparative negligence. A type of negligence where damages are proportionately awarded to the plaintiff. Damages are proportionally awarded to the plaintiff. So this is partial. You sue somebody and the judge looks at the case and says, okay, comparatively, you are liable for this much. Not the whole thing, but you're going to get part of the damages. Right? Proportionately awarded to the plaintiff. And then battery. Tort that involves harmful or offensive touching of another person. Tort that involves harmful or offensive touching of another person. Battery. So that can be both. It can be both a crime and a tort. Good? All right. By the way, those first ones we just did were this side. The next one is the matching side. Okay. All right. Judgment. Actually. I think I have the wrong one here. Give me a second. Come on. Five, three. Okay. Okay, I'm ready. Judgment. You ready? Sorry, guys. The final result of a trial. Judgment. Final result of a trial. Discovery involves taking depositions from parties and witnesses. From parties and witnesses. Taking depositions from parties and witnesses. Witness. A person who has knowledge of the facts of a case. Person who has knowledge of the facts of a case. Damages. A monetary award given to an injured party. A monetary award given to an injured party to compensate for a loss. Damages. Monetary award given to injured party to compensate for loss. Summons, which is what you got. A court order issued. A court order issued to a defendant to appear in court. Court order issued to a defendant to appear in court. You're being sued. Here's your summons. Okay? Testimony. Statements made by witnesses under oath. Statements made by witnesses under oath. Testimony. Okay, this is pretty easy. Opening statements. Brief outline what the defendant and plaintiff will try to prove. Brief outline of what the defendant and plaintiff will try to prove. Punitive damages. So you have damages, now you have punitive damage. These are meant to punish, okay? To define it for you, monetary award set high enough, punish. So P, punitive, P, punish the defendant. Injunction. A court order. Injunction. A court order for a person to do, or not do a particular act. Injunction. Court order for a person to do or not do a particular act is an injunction. Like when Biden tried to do the vaccine mandate for employers that had 100 more employees. It was an injunction, you can't enforce that. Okay. Verdict, the decision of a jury. Decision of a jury. And evidence, any object a judge allows to be presented. Any object judge allows to be presented to the jury. It's evidence. That evidence must be legally obtained, yes? Okay. All right, I think you guys can handle this. Yes? So that's what we'll do tomorrow.